Hi folks, you're with Tacitus today, your pushback channel, and thank you for joining this live stream. In this essay, I'd like to talk about the divorces and the financial difference in outcome between three people who are getting divorced. Now, one's just an ordinary middle-class guy. He's working his 9 till 5 job. He's doing all right. He's frugal. He's thrifty. He works hard and doesn't drink, smoke, or gamble or anything. He's a pillar of society, but he gets divorced, and his wife decided to become a lesbian, and so off she goes. But the government and the globalists sort of play on this is to make sure she gets the kids and the house, and then he's got to pay child support and alimony and everything because she's disadvantaged because she's got no man to look after because she's a lesbian. So she has to get extra resources from him. So he's screwed. He's lost everything pretty much, and because the worse they treated him, the more he decided he would fight it in court, which the more they had to crush him. Then so he's fucked financially. He's fucked. So. And there's nowhere for him to go. There's nothing, no one looking out for him, no one coming to pick up the pieces or help. I mean, he's on his own. That's it. The system is out to crush him, to take everything he's got, and he's on his own. Now, let's take a senior or a senior politician, and particularly a senior union official. Let's look at them and see how their lives unfolded quite differently from just the ordinary, middle-class citizen. So the politician decides to leave his wife and 3 kids, and he decides to go with someone quite a bit younger, and the courts, the law applies to him in terms of the outcome in the same way. He's got to give over his house and all that sort of stuff. There's not a whole lot left when it's finished, but the situation's quite different. His salary is not big enough to make up for the loss that he's just suffered, financial loss. But there's a few things sort of happen, and it's all courtesy of the taxpayer. Now, firstly, there's a very well-paid consulting job is given to his ex-wife, so she kind of only gets the minimum child support, the absolute minimum, and that's not really pushed, and it's a private agreement, and he sort of pays less than really has to because she's got such a well-paying job. Now, she's not qualified to do that job. The job's gifted to her just to make it easier on the politician. So she gets her $150,000, $170,000 a year job, whatever it is, and a nice car to drive around, and a lot of overseas holidays, all courtesy of the taxpayer. She's slotted into some quango or something like, or given a cozy staff consulting job for the political party in question. So she's being so she's got a nice furnished house and car, good job, so he doesn't have to worry about huge alimony and child support payments or private school fee payments and things like that. So he's free from that, but he's still got to make up the money that he's lost in having to give the house away. So what happens is, when you're in most parliaments, not about all of them, most parliaments, you can get given chairmanships of various committees. Now, these committees may only meet once a month for an hour or two, but you can get sort of an extra, because you got to supposedly do extra research, and you've got extra running around, preparing papers, that sort of thing. Rarely is it onerous, though. In fact, you're lucky if it's ever onerous. But he gets given a number of these chairmanships and various other type committees and so on. So his salary more than doubles. So he's on maybe like 180, 190,000 a year or something. So he gets all these other committees, which again, not onerous. Some he doesn't even bother turning up for. But suddenly he's on like 450,000 a year just with all these committees and these extra little bits and things tagged on, plus overseas trips. Now his new lady, she's maybe just a staffer or something like that, getting paid not very much, 50,000 a year, just doing general secretarial dog's body work. But suddenly she's promoted into or given a very lucrative, $250,000 a year, $300,000, $400,000 a year gig, and maybe a special consulting role. But on top of that, so he's being very well looked after. The household income is now very substantial. It's close to $900,000 a year. Now, on top of that, he's able to, and the banks, help him with this. He's able to invest in a few properties, which he hangs on to for just over 12 months. Then he flips them for bonanza profits, absolute windfall profits. Doubles his money on that. And so within sort of 18 months, not only is he made good his losses from the divorce, but he's actually better off than he was previously. So things are all, and so he's got another child with the young staffer, and but she gets this remarkable maternity leave thing where she's got 5 years of maternity leave on full pay. Goodness me, how does she do this? She must be incredibly talented. And so that's the politician, very well looked after. Now, all the money that's being thrown at this guy to ensure he's looked after and his wealth is all replaced that he lost through, that's all paid for by the taxpayer, every penny of it. He's done nothing to deserve it. He's done nothing. He's produced nothing of wealth or value, nor has his new lady, nor has his previous wife. But something to the tune of 5, 6, 9, something to the tune of maybe $1.3 million a year, sort of is being of taxpayer money is gifted to him, plus his real estate investments and all the other things is being gifted to him to make up for the wealth that he's lost during the process of divorce. Now, he just decided to leave his wife and kids and run off with a, Now, regardless of the morals of that, I don't know whether the taxpayer should be funding that sort of behaviour. Now, let's take now let's go back to this ordinary middle class dude. He's abided by the laws. He's paid his taxes. He's worked hard. He's done everything right. But suddenly his wife decides to be a lesbian. Suddenly he's now her oppressor. He's an evil Hitler. He's Hitler, and he has to be crushed. And his wealth has to be taken away. His income each week, and they're garnishing his wage, so he gets. So he's got the embarrassment of work. There's having a garnishing. He's treated like absolute shit by the government and by the system and by the divorce establishment. He's treated like he's an evil Hitler oppressor. But he's done nothing wrong. She let him decide. She's made a life decision that's very self-destructive to her, the lesbian thing. But he has to pay for it all. So somehow that's how it works now. Let's take the union official. Now, the union official, same sort of thing, 3 or 4 kids, a very plain-looking wife, and he'd be, I don't know, close to 50, I suppose, and he takes up with a girl sort of in her 20s, and she's a nobody. You wouldn't employ her to sweep the floor, but when he takes up with her, she's promoted to from $50,000, $60,000 a year job to $1 million a year job. Suddenly she's getting $1 million. Again, government quanga, $1 million a year salary for, well, no one actually knows, but that's what she's getting. Similarly, he gets given a number of very, very handsomely paid consulting roles on top of his full-time job. His full-time job doesn't pay that much, $150 a year, something like that, but he gets these very lucrative consulting jobs that are paying $500,000 a year a piece. And again, the same sort of thing, these incredibly canny real estate investments for a guy who knows nothing about real estate or investing. These incredibly canny investments where, again, he makes millions of dollars very quickly. So he's again replaced his wealth. Now, his ex-wife, same sort of deal. She's given a very well-paying job. So He doesn't have to be, dragged around on alimony and child support and everything. She's got this very well paid job. She's totally unqualified for. And again, the nice car. She's got the nice house. Overseas travel. She's got the whole sort of thing. Kids in private schools, all paid for. But again, it's all, because trade unions, they're a non-profit organisation. It's effectively all paid for by the taxpayer. So again, his lifestyle is fully subsidised by millions of dollars of taxpayer money, for a guy again who's just walked out on his wife and taken up with somebody much younger, and yet he's being very, very well supported. And I don't make a moral judgment here. That's up to him. I mean, that's his thing. But should he be so richly rewarded and taken care of just so he can make that life decision? Whereas the lesbian making a life decision is permitted, given license, indeed encouraged, to absolutely ruin the straight white guy who has committed no crime at all, has done nothing wrong. I've commented on this before, but these sort of examples came out recently, so I thought it certainly bears repeating, just the inequity of it all. You've been with Tacitus today, your Pushback channel, and thank you for listening.